There we are. So, hello. Hello.
Hello, kia ora, te Marie.
How
How
are
are
you
you?
in your little glass house in the sun?
Yeah, well, I thought a little change of scenery might be worth it today. It feels like the first day of winter
It
today where
does.
I
It
am,
even
and
even here. Look, I am all snuggled up with my
yeah,
scarf
I've got
because
got my,
yeah.
my warm jumper on, and so I
Yeah.
thought I'd come out here into my glass house that Sonia built, and in my garden, and be in the sunshine today. So it's, yeah, yeah.
It
How
looks
are
really.
you? Happy
I'm good.
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Yeah, it's interesting. My son was born the day after Mother's Day. Yeah, 2022. He's 22. It's like a magical number.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, well, Mother's Day. I remember when I was pregnant with him and I missed being a mother.
Yes.
I didn't manage to make it onto Mother's Day that year, but it's okay. Hey, yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the moms
Yes.
in the world. So whether you're a human mom or a fur baby mom,
Yep.
or whatever, whether you have a book that you're writing mom, because all creations make you a mother, I think. Yeah.
I totally agree. And
Yeah.
yeah, I always bring it back to our Earth Mother,
Yeah.
the mother, our mother, mother of all of us, and bringing it back to her. And also understanding that for me, m- mother is an energy. It's not a gender or it's not a label. It's an energy, and
Yeah.
the mother energy is something that we desperately all need more of in the world. And it comes in so many different
Oh,
forms and
there's
so
even a
diverse.
verb. There's even a verb, mothering, right?
Yes,
Mothering. So
exactly.
everybody can mother something.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I know some dads who are the best mums. They fill in that mothering role. I know step mums, I know
Yeah.
adoptive mums, I know grandmums and granddads, people, friends, mentors,
Yeah.
yeah, people that take on that mothering
Hey, you're
energy
in
and
a
mothering role.
greenhouse. We are in a greenhouse. Growing plants is mothering, right? You look after them, you
Absolutely.
nourish them, you make them grow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And from a Indigenous Maori, New Zealand Maori perspective, the concept of kaitiaki or guardianship is for me is a mothering energy as well. So
Yeah.
looking after our Mother Earth,
Yeah.
that's a really powerful concept too. So yeah, yeah,
Mm.
happy Mother's Day to us
To
all of us.
everybody, all of us. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, we wanted to talk about letting go, hey.
We did, yes. We've actually
And
been talking before we started recording about this concept of letting
so
go.
letting go, I don't know what's been going on in your mind, but thinking about, well, I mean, these are things that come up in my thoughts and my
Mhm.
musings a lot, right? Working with yourself, like doing the work for yourself, for myself. There are often times where I feel like I need to let go.
Yeah.
I need to let go of and then what is it connected to? Just let it go. You often hear people say, "Oh, just let it go. Just let it go. Just brush it off. Just shake it off. Just don't give it any more attention." And there are so many points, so many times in a day,
Mm.
in a week, where you can say like, "Oh, just let it go." And letting go for me, it's like letting go of my own expectations for myself, sometimes for others, um, but also letting go of bigger concepts of things that I
Mhm.
can honestly not do anything about because they're totally out of my reach. They're not even in my vicinity. They're not my
Yeah.
responsibility. Um, Whatever I do, if I would stay up all night or stand on my head, I could not even change it. So why
That's
even
right.
give it attention, right?
That's exactly right. And I think for me, it's about control. And control comes from fear. So when you are fearful of an outcome or you are very concerned about a particular outcome being realized, then you try to control all the elements to get you to that point. And that's where letting go becomes so powerful because when we try to control things, and we're trying to control things with an underlying element of fear, things never quite go the way that we want them to. It's this whole concept of shoulds and horribles. It should be this way or it should be that way, and if it's not, then it's horrible. And so we constantly, if we're not in a space of being able to let go, like truly and authentically let go of what our own expectations are and what our own fears are, then we're constantly in this state of anxiety. And that's not, certainly from a creative, you and I as creative spirits, that's not a great place to be creatively. The very first, I still do make meditation rings, and the meditation rings that I make have got a spinning band on them, and they have a mantra or a phrase or a word. The very first one I ever made was, the very first gold one that I ever made. I made one for myself. The very first gold one that I made for myself with a golden spinning band, it had let go, flow, and be free.
Yeah.
And that was the spinning band. And for me, those things go together. And the reason they spin is because it's a circular.
I have one. I'm not wearing it today. I have one. But it's upstairs. It's upstairs. I didn't, because I was working, and often when I work, I don't wear my rings. Do you wear rings when you work? Hey.
Yes, I wear rings when I work. The only time I don't wear rings is when I'm in the garden, so that they don't fall off and I lose them. But in the studio, yes, I do. The only one I find really difficult is wearing the one on my thumb, because if I've got to grip anything, I usually have to take the thumb ring off. But yes, I wear rings for sure.
So when I'm painting and stuff, I usually take them off, because otherwise they get, and I have no rings on today, but I do have 2 of your meditation rings actually. Yeah. And I think they are really, really great, because when you wear them, you can play with them. You can twirl them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is to be, and we've talked about this whole concept of being present, and it's about, maintaining a sense of presence with where you are right now. And I think maybe, that letting go thing, again, we come back to letting go, because if you're constantly looking in the future or looking back in the past, you can't be present. Yeah. And so you've got to let go of what you think the future might be. That hasn't been realized. You've got to let go of what the past was, because you can't change that or do anything about it. The only thing you've got is right here and right now. So let go of that to be here. You've got to let go of that, or you can't be here.
So I found, over the last couple of days, when, I sort of focus a little bit more on, we're going to, next time I see you, we were planning to talk about this. And then a lot of, how it is, like if you think about a red car, you see a red car everywhere, Yeah. And so when you know that you're going to talk about a certain topic, then suddenly you see connections to that topic a lot more clearly in a lot of things. Like something that I saw on the news, for instance, and then I go like, why are all these people so worked up about it? It's actually something they cannot do anything about. Why not just let go and focus on something else that could make them happy, that would then breathe out more happiness, that, but then also, like, I am working myself on something, and it's like I set myself expectations still, even though I am very aware of this. Like, I set myself expectations, and what is then, you say it's fear. Yeah, maybe it's all fear, but like in a way, not living up to an expectation brings regret, which is maybe a fear of lost possibilities.
Maybe.
I think, because I thought, what is it when you don't live up, or when somebody doesn't live up to your expectations, when you don't live up to your own expectations, what is it that comes? What is the result of that is regret. And what is regret in a way? What is regret? Regret is a sadness about lost opportunities, lost things that could have been, that you haven't given the chance to develop, to grow. Right. So in a way that maybe is a fear. It is a fear.
I think that's a really beautiful way to articulate it, because when we think of fear, fear often brings up darkness, but it doesn't have to be dark. We can experience anxiety and fear simply because, as you say, if you've got regret for things that you have or haven't done, that's living in the past, or anxiety for not being able to live up to your expectations of your future self. That's anxiety. Both of those two things, fear and anxiety and regret, are both founded in fear that you're not who you truly are. You're not expressing yourself as who you could be.
I think it's that idea that there is more possible for you, for everything really that you encounter. Like, you know deep inside that you can probably you are capable of doing something else or something more or something differently, and if you never give that a chance, then it's like a lost opportunity. Or and is that's a bit of grief?
Yes,
that's a bit of grief. And
I'm
because I always try to bring it back to the primal things that we, the primal emotions that we struggle with. It is that you want to have shelter, you want to have food, you want to have connection, so it's a fear. There's a fear for not having a shelter, not having a roof over your head. There's a fear that those are the primal fears, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Where does grief and regret, which is all a little bit connected, where does that fit in? What fear is that connected to? Is that a fear of connection, fear of so I'm always trying to, maybe I'm going to be maybe I'm going a little bit too deep, but I'm always trying to connect that back, like what primal fear is that actually coming from, and how can I then help it be okay?
I think I think it's really beautiful the way that you're talking about it, and absolutely I think it comes down to, I don't think it's too deep at all. I think it's exactly the questions that we need to ask. We need to ask ourselves, and we need to ask ourselves of the world around us and our experience of it. Grief, I think, is a profound sadness for a loss of something, and grief can come in so many different ways. It can be a loss of a fear of things being unrealized, whether it's the fear of that a relationship was unrealized, that the potential for it, or that you've lost something that you were hanging your identity upon.
So in a way, it's a loss of a dream.
It is, but it's a loss of a sense of identity, of who you are in that relationship, in that moment, in that experience, whatever that is. If grief is about loss, if you lose something, you lose a part of who you identify with as yourself. And so when you lose that part, and we come back to letting go. So who am I in this grief? Who am I in this thing that's been lost, or this experience that's been lost? We try and hang on to it. We try and regain it. And even if intellectually we know that it's gone, it's past, it's beyond us, we're still hanging on to who our identity is, what our identity is in that. And there's where the gift is of letting go, because if you're going to continue to hang on to who you were in that moment, again, you're living in the past. You don't give yourself the opportunity to move forward and be who you could be in the future.
So now here's the thing, like, we are both getting wiser women, becoming
Indeed.
wiser women. Look at our hair.
I know. My philosophy is, the longer it gets and the grayer it gets, the more the wisdom comes.
So I wish I've got some gray strands, and I'm just letting it be all natural. I wish I would go white like you and my dad. I actually really enjoy like that. But also that this is also something that I just have to release, let go of.
Yeah,
You know,
let
it's
go
like
of.
it is what it is, and I'm
Yeah.
just embracing this. But I think it is. I think it is also like, and also this kind of stuff. You know, we just have to let go, let go. I
Absolutely.
think it is also our world that trains us to hang on to things
Mm.
that were before
Mm-hmm.
a bit too long. Like I think, and I know that you are a bit more connected in the Maori philosophy, but there is something beautiful in the more indigenous people in the world because they honor their elders.
Mm-hmm.
They there is space for
Yeah.
the people in the group that are aging,
Yep.
and not so much in the Western world. I think the Western world,
Yeah, I
there's
agree.
a lot more pressure or desire to hang on to youth. And
Mm.
hey, I feel I've there, of course. I mean, I'm also living in this world, and I like to feel young as long as I can and be fit
Mm.
and healthy, and there is also space for just aging gracefully.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I came across a really powerful thought the other day because we hang so much on a number.
Yeah.
Like we put so much on a like I've just had a birthday. I just turned 52. We hang so much on a number. Like what are we supposed to be? Who are we supposed to be in our
Mm.
50s, our 60s, our 70s? So how old would you be if you didn't know how old you are?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like I I've never ever wanted to be younger chronologically than I am. I'm happy being where I am because if I haven't experienced and lived the years that I have, then I don't have the wisdom that I
Yeah.
currently sit
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
And that's like I would not trade that
Yeah.
for lesser years. There's no
Yeah.
way I would trade that.
Yeah.
So it literally is hanging on to a number, but there is in society there is power
Yeah.
attributed to youth in Western society,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that is something that we actively need to be as we age to be really conscious of, and to claim our power back
Mm.
because it's not. And I agree with you from an Indigenous perspective that many, if not most, Indigenous communities revere
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
wisdom that comes with age
Yeah.
and experience, and are connected very very powerfully to their ancestors and the wisdom that's come from before. That concept of standing on the shoulders of giants. That's a something that is a lived experience from
Yeah.
most Indigenous cultures. But in Western culture, sadly, in our Western societies, we it's rejected.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is
And
actually
that
something.
saddens me. That saddens me really, because
Yeah,
I think it is beautiful. I love listening to the stories that the
yeah,
older generation has, and the wisdom, the nuggets that you can pick from those. If you look at any, I've always loved watching documentaries. So, and yeah, as you said, it's all the indigenous tribes. They have that, they have that. They have elders, they have shamans, they have medicine women, they have all that. Why don't we? Why don't we?
yeah,
Why are our medicine women in an elderly home, and not even
yeah,
given the time of day to talk about her experiences or his experience or whatever, It's like
yeah,
I I that's something that it saddens me, and I like to I like to change. So
yeah.
here we are. Like I'm 61. Am I six?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm 61. What year is it? Yeah, I'm 61. Yeah. So I really, but my grandmother, I remember my grandmother, um, or one of my grandmothers. I used to stay overnight in the weekend with her, and so my mom would drop me off on Friday afternoon after school, and I would stay overnight, and I had a granddad there too, and he was really cool too. But I remember her, and I don't even know exactly the situation, but I was little, and she was in her bathroom looking in the mirror, and I don't know, she may have pulled a funny face or something, and I was there watching her, and then she goes like, I don't even know how the conversation went, but I remember her clearly saying to me, "Yes, but grandma doesn't see grandma in the mirror."
Yeah.
And I looked at her like, grandma is crazy. What's happening? And I said, so grandma, what do you see? And she said, I see a young girl.
Mm.
And so I always thought like she must have been a little bit loopy, but later on, as I grew up myself, I started to realize that what she meant was that when she looked in her eyes, and she always had a very naughty sparkle in her eyes. She had that thing, maybe she was a bit of a witch, who knows? But I do understand what she means, right? I do
Yeah.
understand. She didn't see an elderly lady. She saw
No.
her spirit self, her soul self. And that is exactly what you say. Like how old do you feel when you don't know your
How old you
yeah,
are.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
so I think
exactly. And to be able to, it's such a paradox, isn't it? To embrace the wisdom that comes with the aging process and
mm,
having that experience of being older, combined with the spirit of youth.
yeah, it's the
And,
adventures we've had. All
it
the
is. It's
adventures.
the stories that we can tell.
Yeah,
That's where the magic lies. And that from an artistic perspective, that's the real beauty. Like
yeah,
that's that's what we bring to our work is the stories that we tell, and the stories we tell are stories that we've lived.
yeah, yeah,
They're not just stories that we've heard or passed down. They're stories that we've lived, and we
yeah.
know them because they're our stories. And
Yeah.
that there, you don't get that with youth.
So
That's
in a
that's
way,
something you have
so
to grow with.
yeah. So in a way, do you think that because of that, it would be a little bit easier for us to actually let go?
I actually wonder if it's the opposite. I think we have to be more intentional about letting go because we tend, as we grow and we develop those stories, we identify more strongly with them, or the ones
Mm,
that we like, perhaps.
mm,
Um, and I think it's an intentional process of letting go. I think the older that you get, the more baggage that you bring with you,
mhm,
um, that you have to intentionally let go because it's just a story.
mhm, mhm.
So yeah, I don't know, maybe I think that's where I would sit on that one.
What do you do? What do you do when you find yourself that you're sort of stuck in something that you're holding on to? How do you are you aware? Are you aware when
Yeah.
you're hanging on to something?
I am very much so. Sometimes not in immediately. Sometimes it's not it's not necessarily a constant awareness. Sometimes it's like a waking up or a shaking up.
Yeah.
Um, I I find when I become aware that I am um, actually actually a lot of it for me is about sleep. If I actually no, that's not true. I'm an asthmatic.
Yeah.
I was born with asthma, right?
Yeah.
This is why, for me, this whole thing comes back to a fear-based thing. I've become aware through my life that when I am afraid,
Yeah.
I have asthma.
Okay.
And when I know that there's something that needs to be addressed, something that needs to be let go of, or I'm really, really holding on to something that I'm afraid of, or a part of me or an identity that that I really would benefit from letting go of. When I wake up in the morning, I have a brief moment where there is no asthma,
Yeah.
none. Like I can breathe freely, there's no problem. And the moment that my thinking mind kicks in, asthma comes in.
Oh, wow.
and it's
Yeah.
a breathing thing. And I probably became aware of it, like really, really consciously aware of it about 4 or 5 years ago. Like it kind of hit me like a brick in the middle of the forehead. And I went, oh my gosh, this is a fear response. I'm afraid of something. There's something in here. I'm afraid of something that I am, or something in my life. It's asthma for me is about fear. And so letting go for me is about remembering to breathe.
Yeah.
And it's such a simple thing. It's such a simple. We talked about the breath last time we spoke
Yeah.
about that inspiration and the inhalation and the movement of spirit. That's, for me personally, that's where I am able to go, breathe out. Breathe out, let it go, let go of that breath. Because asthma, I don't know if you're aware of it, asthma is chronic asthma is it's a one-way valve in the lungs, right?
Yeah.
And so when people have an asthma attack, they're not having an attack where they can't breathe in, they're having an attack where they can't breathe out.
Hmm.
So the air, they fill up with air. If you've ever seen anyone have an experience of having an asthma attack, you're all puffed up, your chest is
Yeah.
all puffed
Yeah.
up, and you can't get the air out.
Yeah.
And so it's a one-way valve. And when you focus on being able to relax and let the air out, let it go,
Let it
then
go.
the in-breath takes care of itself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's, for me, I'm really fortunate. I've come to understand that my expression of fear is asthma.
Yeah.
And I'm really fortunate in that, because it's a really physical, tangible thing to experience. And so I know when I am having trouble letting go of some aspect in my life, that's
Yeah.
when the asthma comes. And for me, it's about breathing. It's remembering to breathe out,
Yeah.
to let it go,
Let it go.
physically let it go.
Yeah.
And then I'm creating space to allow whatever new, fresh,
Yeah.
beautiful, um, growing medium can come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it
It's
that's how it
literal.
goes for me.
That's
Yeah,
literal. That's literal. Like let the breathe out, let go
yeah.
of the still. It's so interesting because I like doing little challenges myself and attaching creative little projects to events in my life. So at the beginning of the month, I started doing this sort of 40-day countdown to a day that is special to me. And then I just go like, what shall I choose? So I chose to do 40 quotes by Rumi. And so I'm picking a quote a day, and then I do a quick illustration with ballpoint and some white pencil in a brown paper journal. And so one of the one of the quotes that I picked last week was these pains you feel are messengers. You have to listen, you know,
Mm,
listen to them, listen to them.
yeah.
So these pains you feel, it's like interesting that you say like the asthma comes as a messenger, as a
Mm,
warning, as a notification, as something in you that says, hey, pay attention, you need to let
yeah.
go. And it's the same thing for me. Like I consider myself a healthy person, in general. um if there is something that needs my attention that I need to let go, like
Mm,
stress or anxiety or expectations, I get little physical reminders myself too. Little pains, little aches, little things that
mhm.
are just they're warnings, they're messengers, they're little messages that say like,
Yeah.
hey, pay attention. It's time to let go. So yes, I'd also then go, breathing in and out,
Out.
letting go of that staleness, that stale air,
Yeah.
those stale
Yeah.
thoughts, those things that are not serving me. Just
Yeah.
letting go of that, letting go. And the first thing is that I do some breathing myself. And I'm not asthmatic, but it does help me too.
Yeah.
It does help me too to really focus, because it slows you down. It's an
Yeah. It does.
immediate thing. It slows you down. It brings you in the present moment. It
Hmm.
it 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 connects you to your true self, your core self, that breathing, that is the essential force of life, you know, is your she. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it's many years ago, before I delved into the world of art as a profession, I was a life coach. And one of the things when I studied life coaching was the concept that your belief becomes your biology. And so I really believe and identify with the little nuances of what my body is experiencing are directly related to my fears, my insecurities, my beliefs about myself and the world, and what my spirit self, what my ancestors, what the universe itself, what God, whatever label you put on that, what that's telling me. And it's telling me in a tangible way through the expression is through my body. And I believe that 100%. It's and I think as you get older and you have more experience with your body, that you start to really associate certain ways that your body responds to different stresses or different situations, and you see patterns. But I really, you know, going back to that focus on youth, I think we've got in our Western culture, Western society, I think we've also got to focus on being detached from our physical self. And it's funny we come to this point, because I was just thinking about this yesterday. We're so disconnected. We're so quick to find comfort in our body that we're afraid of. We actively avoid situations where we're uncomfortable. And I really think that the more that you can get comfortable being uncomfortable, the more you understand what your body is trying to tell you. If you're constantly distracting yourself, be it with, I don't know, Netflix and chocolate and you know, warmth and a lack of hard physical exercise, these things, these challenge our bodies, these offer our bodies a chance to go, yeah, let's dive into that. We reject discomfort in any way, shape, or form, and I think it's a distraction. I think it's a problem, and
I mean it's hiding in a way.
It is really hiding, and you know, I mean, that's one of the reasons that I'm sitting here in this place right now, because it's cold and it tells me something. It tells me my body wants to move, because it's a way for it to warm up, and it's a way for it to find its equilibrium. But if I'm constantly warm, you know, my body doesn't want to move, and that's a problem. I think the relationship between our spirit selves and our physical selves are inextricably linked. I think those two things go so closely together, and we numb our minds, we numb our spirits, we numb our bodies, and we don't grow.
It's so interesting also that you say that you used to do life coaching work, because I know so many, I mean, you know, that I do combine it. And I think there are so many of us creatives that are also doing the work, whether you do it just for yourself or whether you're in service and helping others as well. In a way, creative expression is linked to you coaching yourself and others through experiences in life, because you tell a story with the creation that you create, with the thing that you create, and then that journey becomes the journey where you find answers or see opportunities and possibilities and things like that. And you're so right with the comfort zone. I mean, I guess, you know, and people talk about this so much in the coaching world side, and maybe not so much in others. You don't hear it said so often, but yeah, you know, what is your big aha moment, or your where you woke up? Like for me, it was the earthquake experience, I guess, was
Yep.
the biggest one, the one that shook so hard that I could not do anything else than pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Right? Pay attention.
Yep.
So it's the uncomfortable place, and more or less, like you say, you're in a cold environment, so it makes you aware. It makes you aware. It's the awareness, right? It's the
Yep.
awareness to oh, what is my body telling me? Or what is this
Yep.
situation, this environment, this adventure, this journey trying to
Yeah.
tell me? Being
Yep.
open to that, and letting go of the fact that it is painful, or is it, or it is
Yeah.
uncomfortable, or it pushes you, and you know, and yeah, and that is, you know, there are cool things in the chaos. I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. The chaos is where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I just, yeah, it's something I've just been really hyper aware of this particular week. Um, I I've been observing myself around new people this week, and
Yeah.
I found it really, really interesting. We were talking a little bit about this, and I found it so interesting. I found myself so interesting, um, and um, how challenged I have been by interactions with new people this week, and
Yeah.
what I've learned about myself, what I'm prepared to tolerate for
Yeah.
myself, and it's been such an education. But I've had to let go of a lot of my own self limitations and my own self judgment, my own shame, in order to put myself in the situation where I can have this learning. And it has
Yeah.
been uncomfortable. It has been very uncomfortable. But so much is coming from it. So much
Yeah.
growth is coming from it. And once again, it's letting go of what you think something should or shouldn't be,
Yeah.
and allowing what it is to be fully present. You can be
Yeah.
fully present to what it is rather than what you think it should or shouldn't be.
But isn't it cool to isn't it cool to surprise yourself, like to be
Yeah,
to have an experience where you go like, hey, this is interesting. I never knew that I would
that's it.
respond, or that I would
That's
feel
it.
this way, you know. And I guess that those are the times that when you're a child, you have those experiences all the time,
All the
you know.
time. Hmm. Yep.
And as you
Yep.
grow older, as you become an adult, and you filter through your experiences, and you have more control, I guess you have more
Hmm.
control of what you allow into your daily life
Yeah.
than when you're a child. When you're a child, you just live,
Yep.
and things
That's
just
right.
happen. Things just happen. And I guess that, you know, when, and you know this, when the earthquakes happen, there is a time where you just, things just happen, and you just
Mm.
live through it, you know. um and you have less control of what you allow
Yeah.
into your daily life. But we can get very, very stale, I guess, in
Yep.
our,
Absolutely.
this is my life, this is what I let in, and the other things I shut out, and there's no
Yep.
more surprises. And I think that creatives, they have a little door open to surprises, you know.
I think so too. I think it's actively choosing moments of awe and wonder,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That's what we're doing, wondering
whatever.
and musing. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like actually allowing the door to swing open and stepping through and seeing
Yeah.
what it offers you. And that, I mean, we all love a good sunset or a good sunrise or a good rainbow, but sometimes the wonder and the awe happens in the middle of a thunderstorm, right? It
Yeah.
really, really, really does. It comes in the places we don't expect it. Come on, puppy. Oh, this is my puppy.
Oh.
This is
Oh,
Honey.
honey.
This is Honey.
Oh, look, she's got a jacket on.
She has. It's her new jacket. It's cold. She feels the cold. Don't you, baby?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. She's an example in point because I've never ever had small dogs before, ever.
yeah,
Actually, kind of always referred to small dogs as rat dogs,
yeah.
and I've always only ever had big dogs before, and she's gorgeous.
She is gorgeous.
And so, while I was very had great reservations about having a small dog, wouldn't be without her. She's beautiful, aren't you? Hey,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So you gotta open yourself to new experiences. You allow
I
yourself to be
know.
open to new experiences because, you know, it's that's the letting go.
That's
You
also
know,
letting go. Yeah. Just letting go of your control on every part of what happens in your life.
yeah,
So if you
yeah,
allow adventures in, and that is why I love journeying, like journeying in my mind, like going on. And don't we all? I mean, people,
yeah,
as you know, like you talked about it earlier, like you numb yourself by watching Netflix, but
yeah.
people escape because it's an escape.
Mm,
People escape into movies, into television series, into books, into all kinds of mind altering ways.
yep,
But in a way it is looking for a little adventure, journey,
yeah,
escape, right?
yep.
And so how easy is it to just open the door to unexpected
Mm,
surprises, because then you allow that in on a daily basis, and so you let go of a predicted outcome.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think also you are finding an outcome for yourself. So, I've got no problem with going and watching movies or reading. I mean, I love to read.
Oh, me too.
I
I
love
love
stories. I
stories.
love I
Yeah.
love going to the movies. I love going to theatre. But and I absolutely adore those experiences. I think the difference is that those stories are stories where the outcome is predefined, whereas the story of your own life is yet to be told.
Yeah, no.
And so if we are constantly seeking the adventure in somebody else's story, then we're
Yeah.
not truly living our own one.
Because you know that I recently had a loss, or yeah, I'm still grieving in a way. Um, what surprised me relatively soon after my partner passed was that I, at the same time, and I almost found it difficult to mention it to others, because everybody was very concerned about how I was feeling and how I was coping and all that. And I found it, but I did tell that at the same time, yes, I feel sad. I felt sad. I still feel sad and hurt and all that.
Mm.
And at the same time, I was excited about the next chapter in my book.
Yep.
And I almost felt guilty because there were people that looked at me like, are you for real?
Mm.
How can you not sit in a corner and just cry all day, like that kind of response I received, because that
Yep.
is sort of the expected way that somebody deals with grief, is seen in a certain way. Okay, you
Yep.
lose you lose the love of your life, so you will be like that. And
Yep.
I was not like that. In parts I was, but other parts were excitedly looking forward to reading the next chapter in my book of my life, in a way.
Yep.
And I still am, like, I cannot wait for certain things to see how it will unfold. um
Yeah.
but it almost feels like a betrayal, or like, you know and that is just reflecting of how others respond to how I feel. And that is, I the more I feel different, or or I allow, or I let go of expected behavior, in a way, like the
Mm.
norm, the more I realize that that is the best thing for everybody to actually do, is to just touch, keep the conversation with yourself open, and letting go of whatever other people are expecting of you, or the world or society is expecting you to do or behave or be, and that is concerning age, gender, whatever, you know, all those expectations that are put on us. Just feel into your true self, and that needs to be right, that needs to be right.
It's got to be right for you.
Yeah.
And there's a huge amount of courage involved and bravery involved in expressing yourself in ways that are not the social norm.
Yeah.
That's a brave thing to do, but ultimately it's all you can do.
I
if
know.
you're going to be truly authentic and honest with yourself and truly be who you are, it's all you can do. There is no other way.
But it is interesting, you know, this is then purely personal, because it's interesting to see that because society has these norms, this is what you do, or this is how it's done, or this is how it is expected to be, then you start to doubt yourself. You start to doubt yourself, and then you even go to a place like, was my love true? You know, was my love true enough? And I know it was, you know, I mean, we were together 38 and a half years. I mean, it's a long time. You don't do that just for the fun of it, you know. That's so but it's interesting. It's interesting to see. And at the same time, inside of myself, I know that it is okay, and I am honoring myself and him and his, you know. And I know that this is something that he would have wanted me to do, to be this way. And still there's this little struggle inside. So there's also this letting go. Just on a regular basis, I just have to say, it is okay to be me. It is okay to feel the way I feel, to deal with the thing that I have at hand the way that feels right.
Yeah.
And keep going, and let go. And let go.
Do you think that it's like we become quite accustomed to the letting go concept in relation to big events in our lives? But do you think maybe it's a constant daily moment by moment thing that is more related? Like we talk about the breath, that letting go. Maybe it's something that we do constantly on every out breath. You know, every moment that we're alive, if we've got the in and the out, that breath. Maybe it's not something that happens to us, you know, in major moments of our life. Maybe it's something that happens in every moment of our life. That's the invitation.
I think so. Having said that, if I consciously think about breathing, I can breathe myself dizzy.
Yeah.
You know, if I go like, oh, I have to go breathe, and then I go like in and out, I can actually breathe myself dizzy, you know, by focusing on it so much. So because breathing is one of the things that automatically happens. That's one of those things that you don't have to think about. And at the same time, sometimes we do need to think about it, right? We need to, yeah. But definitely the letting go is something that I do now consciously on a daily basis, because I am reminded on a daily basis about how other people think about what I do, or how I feel, or how I live at the moment, because you know, I am still in contact with people on a daily basis, and you know, most of them know a little bit about my life, most of them, you know, and so they will tap into or ask, or and then the response, or just sometimes the way somebody looks at you, or a little word they say, brings the opportunity for me to go and I need to let go. I need to let go.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. With love and peace and everything, everybody just really needs to do the thing that feels right for them. And that is okay. I need to let that go. And then focus. Look at your little doggy. Oh. She's so comfortable. She looks like a little what are they from Star Wars?
Oh, an Ewok.
Yeah, an Ewok. Yeah.
I was actually, when we got her, I was going to call her Wicket after the Ewok that was in Star Wars, and we very seriously thought about calling her Wicket, but ended up calling her Honey. But yes, she is. She's just like a little Ewok. Thank you.
But yes, so I think that maybe I am consciously more aware of how people are responding to me now than before. So also that, but I mean, we talk about these things for ourselves. We also talk about these things in the hope that maybe somebody else can find some little spark for themselves in there. So I know that a lot of people when dealing with something that is perhaps expected to make you do something in a certain way, then please just tap into with yourself. I think that's the only thing I can say is like there for the most important thing is to make yourself feel comfortable. Like we talked about feeling comfortable, making yourself feel comfortable, but in this way I think emotionally you need to make to first focus on that you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable with a decision, with a choice, then that needs to be okay. And then you can let go of whatever other people think about it, because that is not important. Because you don't live to please somebody else in how you behave.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah, you've got to honor yourself first and foremost, because if you don't do that, what have you got?
Yeah. But then on the other hand, yes, do stretch your physical self a little bit, and also mentally. You can stretch your mind and all that. Definitely don't get into too much of a comfort zone there, so that you don't do anything anymore. Because we do want to keep growing, we do want to keep evolving, and I think so.
You want to see what you're capable of. You want to know what your physical self, your mental self, your emotional self, your spiritual self. You want to know what you're capable of. You want to know what your limits are.
Well, it's a curiosity as well. I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what can I do this? Is it possible? And you being a little alchemist yourself, it's the same with your work. It's like, would it work? Would it work? Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what I can cook up,
Absolutely. Yeah. Life's an experiment. It's all a great big experiment, and we get to be both the thing that's experimented on and the experimenter together in the same equation, and that's kind of magic. That's back to magic. So. We're back to magic.
That's magic. So and so whatever stands in your way of your magic, just let it go.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. There we go. Whatever stands in the way of your magic, let it go.
Yeah. So magic. What is even magic? Like, okay, so that's another topic we could talk about. Because I always like to use the word magic. A lot of people think like, so what does that mean? Or does that mean that you're a witch, or that's make believe? That's not real. That's so that is something we could dive into a little bit more. What is magic?
I think that would be wonderful. That's a big topic. For me, that's a big topic. I love that kind of that esoteric, that alchemy, that the beautiful unknown.
Yes. Well, that could be the next one. That could be the next one.
I think that's
I'm
a great
excited
idea.
for that. I'm excited for that one.
Oh my gosh, the next week, you know, you realize the whole next week, all we're going to see is magic everywhere.
Yes, yes. So bring it on. Bring it
Bring
on.
it on. Absolutely. What do you think, honey? You want to be a magical dog? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 1.5.
Aw, baby.
Still a baby.
Baby.
Still a
Aw,
baby. We call her, she's half Chihuahua, half Shih Tzu.
yeah.
And the official name for that breed is a Shih Tzu, but I prefer to call her a Chitois. Hey, isn't that
Oh,
right?
she's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. It makes me miss my Ali. I used to have well, I mean, we used to have lots of animals, but the last animal we had was a cat. And yeah, it makes me miss having a
Yeah,
pet now. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We've got lots of animals around here, and yeah, I love having the animals around.
Yeah.
I miss when I don't have animals around. I go actively looking for strays.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's time after my travels, maybe it's time that
Yeah,
I'll look at something again.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, my son has a little kitten, so you know, I like to visit them. Yeah, and
Oh, how
have
cool.
cuddles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's nice. All right, cool. So up to the magic for the next time.